This is Brownie's Podcast!
Round 3 done and dusted. It's Brownie's Podcast. Dino here, Jonathan's here, Campbell's here. Later on in the pod, we're going to speak to a guy that was munged on by a shark 13 metres underwater in the ocean. The world doesn't make much sense right now. The powerhouse that is St Kilda. Top of the ladder, John.
Absolutely. It's been a great weekend. Tried to catch up on a bit of football. I did watch St Kilda Essendon. We did the game on Saturday night, but then had the Grand Prix yesterday, Dino.
Yes.
I took young Jackie Brown to the F1s. He went through the Red Bull pits.
Tell me how flash the seats were.
Oh, they're amazing. The cars are amazing. He got to sit there. They did a pit stop in front of him before the race.
What?
He went through the Mercedes pits. He went through the Alpha Tauri pits.
What are you doing while he's watching this? You're just standing there like a child as well?
I'm just standing there like a child, like a photographer. There I was, just going bang, 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 just taking photos all day with my shithouse phone at the moment. But it was...
Don't talk to me about phones at the moment.
What's wrong with you?
Nah.
What have you done?
What's wrong?
Telstra fucking cut me off.
Oh, mate.
I missed one bill in 20 years.
How is it their fault?
Well, surely, since I moved over from Optus about 20 years ago, I have not missed a bill. I don't miss bills. I get them, I pay them. It's obviously an oversight.
Yeah.
I'm driving in today to this podcast.
Yeah.
I get halfway through a phone call, it disconnects. I go, must be bad service.
Is that how it works?
I am shut out. Now, you do everything on your phone. I can't even pay the bill that they want me to pay because it's on my phone.
I swear I've let mine elapse 2-3 months and they're pretty generous. Why have they just cut you off?
I think you got a bad credit rating.
No, I reckon they've looked at his search history and thought, we don't want this freak on our books.
Well, that's the thing. They do make notes. So in your file, they would look through it, and you would have rang up, no doubt, Mel Brown style, probably given some abusive phone calls over the journey, and that would be noted under your Telstra file number. And I think they've just decided, this bloke.
Yeah.
We're not giving him any more chances. We are cutting him off just to add some inconvenience to
the
his
only
day.
time I've ever rung him up and abused him was when I left my data roaming on back in the day when you'd go overseas. Remember that? And it'd run, and you'd come home and you'd have like a $3,000 bill.
Jesus,
Man, do you remember what a stress data roaming was?
Oh, mate, it was the worst. And everywhere you go, you'd need to log into Wi-Fi because you didn't want to turn your data roaming on.
Data roaming could make you lose your house back in the day.
Yeah.
You come back from holidays, I'm
Yeah,
Well,
so I'm not happy with Optus. I'm in Telstra. I'm going to have a good hard think of
Optus and Telstra.
both of them.
Okay.
All right, back to footy. Dane Swan humorously said that St Kilda haven't played anyone yet.
Well, they played Essendon and they were 2-0. The Bulldogs were in finals last year, and then Fremantle won a final last year. So they actually have played someone. The big test will come in round 5 against Collingwood on Gather Round. That's the final game of Gather Round weekend over in Adelaide. So that'll be a fantastic test. But you know what? Ross Lyon's sides are always hard to play against.
Mate.
They are great runners. I'd love to get their GPS. They're actually real GPS. I know they've got the Telstra tracker and all that, which is, clearly, their numbers would be okay, but they're busy tracking your phone bill at the moment, Brown Dog. But they are unbelievable runners, and defensively they turn up. Ross Lyon clubs always compete and they always work hard. So it's great to see the St Kilda Footy Club going really well. On a big occasion, 150-year anniversary the other night. There's nothing worse. Is there a big occasion like that? You need to go out and win. The current team, especially when the guys like Plugger Lockett and all those big names from the past are in the grandstand watching.
And you only have one premiership to your club's history, right? So there's been decades and decades and decades of losing, failure, misery, loss, all that sort of stuff that comes with it. And it taps into your DNA a little bit, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of those past players are probably going there to celebrate, but sort of expecting to lose because that's all they know.
How fit does Plugger look?
No, he looks anorexic.
You know what they reckon he does? They reckon he does upwards of 1,000 kilometres a week on his push bike.
Does he?
He just loves it. He lives up in northern New South Wales now. He sold the farm in Bowral.
Not even Lance Armstrong did 1,000 Ks.
I haven't seen him. I'm going to Google image him right now. So Tony Lockett 2023 I'm looking for.
Lance never did 1,000 Ks drug-free. Now, Plugger's probably drug-free, but he loves it. There's some good riding.
Jesus!
He looks amazing.
He does look in good nick.
He looks like Steve Monaghetti.
He does look like Steve Monaghetti.
He's Monaghetti thin.
He is. So it was great to see Plugger out there because it's very difficult to see. Now, honestly, how many of the current St Kilda Footy Club, or the current St Kilda team, would Plugger have known the names of?
Not me.
When he walked through probably the locker room before the game or after the game and introduced himself, or they introduced Plugger to the players.
How many mates did
There
he
would
throw
have been
out?
a lot of mates out there.
Mate.
Well done, mate. I feel you're terrific today, mate. Good running, mate. Well done. Good goal, mate.
I love that he was a chunky boy and the greatest because of that, you'd say, right?
Oh, yeah. He was amazing.
And now he's completely the opposite.
He is, yeah. He's come full circle. I still reckon his greatest act as a footballer wasn't on the footy field.
Yeah.
Wasn't his record-breaking goal or the hit on Peter Craven. It was when he threw his crutch at Eddie Maguire coming out of the tribunal that night.
That was amazing, wasn't it?
How good is it? Imagine today if a player had the audacity to throw an object at a journo, like Johnny Ralph or... Imagine, like, just throwing something at him.
Well, I think the best act still was when Plugger and his great mate Spud Frawley, it was a hot day in summer and they couldn't be stuffed going to training. They'd made it all the way from Melbourne. They used to drive up from Ballarat. They had training in Moorabbin that afternoon. Yep. It was too hot, so Spud and Plugger decided to stop at Luna Park and go on the Big Dipper. And they were having too much fun that they decided to ring Darryl Baldock, who was the coach at the time, and say, we've been held up working on the farm and the greyhounds back in Ballarat, so we can't make it to Moorabbin for training. The only problem was, as Spud and Plugger were coming down the Big Dipper there at Luna Park, a Herald Sun photographer was there and took a photo of them, and they're on the front page of the Herald Sun the next day.
Shit.
And Doc Baldock called him into the office.
He was not happy.
All right, while we're on Plugger's greatest hits, catching that pig was phenomenal, obviously.
Yeah.
But what about when he torped the ball from 5 metres into the...
Oh, yeah. Nearly killed Kenny and the Swanettes that were sitting in the front row.
That was astonishing.
That was a cannonball coming at him.
You get rubbed out for that now, I reckon.
That was the biggest second half of football from one individual. He put Peter Craven in hospital. Peter Craven or Caven?
Caven.
Caven in hospital.
I
where
think
he
I
just
said
destroyed
Craven.
his face. And then I think he kicked 8 that day as well.
Jesus
and they
Christ.
came back from about 45 points down at half
Huge.
time.
All right, other big moments in the round. Collingwood just keep going.
They're so good. They're right now the team to catch the Pies and really well balanced across the board. Like all their midfielders are contributing. It's not just a go. It's not just Nick Dacos. It's Josh. It's Tom Mitchell's come in now and just slotted straight in.
Tigers hung in there, though. 14 points is not much.
It's pretty gutsy without Short, Hopper and Martin out there.
Yeah, it was. And they're going to be competitive. I don't know if they can win it. But the top 8 right now, St Kilda, Collingwood, Carlton, Melbourne, Sydney, Essendon, North Melbourne and Richmond. I've got Essendon, North Melbourne, maybe St Kilda and Richmond maybe dropping out. It's such an even
Yeah, it's
season.
even. I don't think there's many great teams or good teams, to be honest. I think the comp's pretty ordinary quality-wise from the teams, apart from Melbourne and Collingwood. I think they're the standouts at the moment. St Kilda's doing really well, but I'm not sure whether they're going to be there when the whips are cracking late in the season. They've been fantastic to watch. 7 out of the top 8 teams are Victorian clubs.
That's
or
wild.
Melbourne clubs, which is pretty amazing. I don't think we would have seen that this century.
I don't think anyone expected Giants to hang in there that close to
No,
Carlton.
Giants hanging in there. Carlton hasn't lost a game, have they?
No.
They had 2 wins and a draw.
Yeah.
What about Geelong? Are they gone?
They're
So
not
David
gone.
King came out last night and
What
said
did
they
King,
are
you
gone.
reckon?
Well, he just said they're gone. You know, and
King,
he
come on,
thinks
King.
they're past it. Maybe premiership hangover, but certainly they're an older list. What do you think about that, Doc?
I don't think they're gone. They're too good a side to write them off after 3 weeks of footy. But I'll say this: when you're an old side,
Yeah.
which they were last year, and it all clicked and everything went beautifully, you can fall off the cliff
Yep.
quite quickly.
You can.
Your form can desert you through no fault of your own because you're still training just as hard and you're still preparing just as hard. But the game evolves. The game waits for nobody, and sometimes it can pass you by in the blink of an eye. And a couple of those older-ish guys.
Big talking point is Tom Hawkins at the moment, the way he's moving.
Cam Guthrie's not playing good footy. Danger's got the captaincy now. He's down on his output. Zach Tui, isn't as dangerous across the
Hey,
halfback.
they won. All these players were old last year and they won the flag.
Spot on, but it can happen quickly.
7
though.
months later.
What can happen, especially the big man with Tom Hawkins, and I'm sure Tommy will come back and he'll get fitter, but the danger is when you're a big, heavy man, things can pass you by very quickly. Tommy's 34 years old. He's been a marvel to still play great, consistent football well into his 30s, for a big man, but that can really pass you by quickly. So it's a tough one for Tom at the moment. And losing, I think we've underrated the loss of Joel Selwood, their warrior out there. I think I just thought Dangerfield could come in and the team and just continue on down the same path they did in 2022. Selwood's been a massive loss.
That's why I didn't wait around for the game to pass me by. I passed the game by just by leaving it.
You decided to just go whack. Get out of my way, Stephen May.
There was one thing that...
Were you still on Geelong?
No.
No, because I want to, before we move on from Geelong, good news for them is they're playing Hawthorn this weekend.
Yeah,
let's be completely honest.
The Hawks won, though.
Easter Monday.
Yeah, they did win. But also, you want a cool stat?
Love a cool stat.
No one's won a flag and then gone 0-4 since 1976.
Boom, there you go.
I'm the stat man.
The stat man.
I'm the stat man. And that was North.
The most disgraceful thing I saw for the round was a really good, it wasn't a high quality scoring fest, but the Carlton GWS game was really close. And there was 11 minutes left. 11 minutes and 08 seconds.
Oh, yes. Thank you.
On the clock.
08 seconds.
08 seconds. The game was in the balance. There was a 5-point margin, right? So next goal's critical. It's an arm wrestle. And the umpire decided to inject itself into the game and create something.
Itself.
Itself as not human, Jonathan.
Are we not non-gender or no? It's called non-binary now.
Umpires,
Not even
umpires.
a human, according to
Umpires, when they make decisions like that, they don't need to be referred to as any form of life.
So
They inject itself into the game.
like a parasite. A bacteria.
When there was no need.
Yeah.
When there was no dissent there. If you can't turn around as a captain of the club, and Stephen Canelio was.
Ex-captain,
yeah, but he was, so he's got a good rapport with the umpires in the past. And put your arms out and say, hey, was that not a high fend-off? Right? Was that not a free kick?
Did his behaviour reach pork chop level?
No! And the umpire, so the snap was kicked.
Demonstrative.
JB, that wasn't demonstrative.
It was demonstrative.
You're supposed to be cool like us. Don't be a nerdburger and side with the its.
Putting your hands out, and he didn't yell, he didn't swear, right?
John.
He just put his hands out and said, is that not a free kick?
It was aggressive towards the umpire from a distance. Now, I reckon the umpires may have been reminded because I think there was a couple of instances over the weekend.
Do you want that determining a result?
Well, they may have been reminded over the weekend, so, hey, guys, let's be careful of the playing group. They're starting to, the players in the comp, they're starting to maybe get a bit more demonstrative like they were at the start of last year.
Yeah,
and there was massive controversy. They tried to slow it down, and the players, credit to them, they changed their behaviours really quickly. But I think it started to slip into the players early in the season again, and the AFL may have said, we need a little bit of a reminder.
Okay,
now, obviously,
pay
it's
it
not
early.
ideal.
Pay it early in the game, not at the 11-minute mark of the last quarter with 5 points the difference with the game on the line, because that was the difference.
Well, it was the difference, and Callum Ward handballed the ball off to Lockie Whitfield. He had a shot later on as well. So 2 critical errors the GWS senior players made, but I can understand it happening. Now, I know when junior football's coming online, this is part of the rule. The dissent rule was brought in to stop players setting bad examples for junior players because it happens far too often at junior level, which is not good enough. I see it with my under 13 girls. They're carrying on towards the umpire. So there may have been just a reminder, and you never know. These umpires are human. It pops into their head in that moment, bang, I've got to pay a free kick.
Read the play, read the room, read the game, right?
Jesus.
You've just had blokes out there that have just gone tooth and nail for the best part of 2 hours. You got the crowd on the edge of their seats.
Yeah.
You want the game to be won on merit, on ability, on skill, right?
Not a dissent call.
Not a dissent call. I would argue there wasn't a lot of dissent in that dissent.
Mm.
It was a low dissent.
Low dissent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like a plane, low descent.
No shit.
Descending.
Another thing.
At the end of the day, they kicked poorly. They kicked 9 goals 20 to 9 goals 10, I think it was. So Carlton deserved to win. They should have won the game anyway.
Let's go to doggies now. I reckon Bont heard the criticism coming his way. Everyone was calling him weak. He's come out and had a blinder.
Yeah, he was good, wasn't he? No, he was fantastic. The back line was good.
Where do you rate Brisbane?
Well, the concern is that every time they get on a plane, They're not the same Brisbane Lions team that play at the Gabba.
Certainly this year so far.
And
Their effort was better than round one against Port Adelaide and Adelaide. But
where would they be, right, if it wasn't for the three guys that they brought into the club? Gunston was their best forward. Dunkley was their best mid. And Ashcroft was, he's by far their best young new talent. And they're three guys that they didn't have last year. So
I'm a bit concerned about Brisbane. Yeah, they've got problems in all areas of the ground. Their big forwards just
do you trust
continue to
Hipwood and
disappoint. No, I don't. Continue to disappoint those two big men. It's almost like Jack Gunston now is almost relied upon to be that down the line key position presence forward, which that's not his game. He's more of a leading forward. I think they do miss Daniel McStay a fair bit. Obviously, he's gone to Collingwood. Harris Andrews has been outstanding, but there's a few problems there for a top 4 contender.
Shit, D's chopped up Sydney, which can't be understated.
That looked awesome.
Looked brilliant.
And one more thing, the Derby, man. The WA Derby, not the Derby. Eagles Dockers. When's the last time you saw a game where 3 key players get long-term injuries, one after the other?
Well, as McGovern and Shuey did the hammies, Cripps ended up in hospital with a broken ankle, Witherden out with a head knock. That was very courageous by him all. And also Liam Ryan lucky to come back on with his left knee injury, and lucky he didn't break his neck, how high he went for that mark. But what Adam Simpson said to him at 3/4 time, well, boys, remember in juniors when you never wanted to come off? Well, you get your chance now in the last quarter because we've got no rotation, so you can stay out there. So they were actually pretty gutsy, weren't they?
They were gallant.
Hey, stayed in the game too. They got to within 2 points and then just couldn't run it.
You simply, I think statistically, if you lose a player in your rotations, you're 13% less chance of winning, and then it goes exponentially higher for 2, 3, 4. So come the third quarter, and they had 4 guys injured. They had to play a Ryan that could hardly run. He went to jump in the last quarter and his knee buckled, right?
I saw that.
They really had no chance of running the game out, and that's why it went from 2 points to 41 quite quickly.
Yeah, if you lose if you're 2 players down compared to the opposition on the bench, you're virtually guaranteed to losing the game. That's why they've kept the sub this year. They went with, because people were saying, why don't you just have 5 on the bench? They said, no, they went 4 on a sub as a protection mechanism, because you can lose a couple of players with 5 on the bench, and it virtually guarantees you lose the game. Yeah. So I didn't want that, I suppose, what do you call it? The credibility in the result. So the integrity of the result. They didn't want that to be tinkered with.
Jonathan, coming from the stat man, that was a great stat.
Thank you. Yeah, well, the AFL presented that to Channel 7 and Fox before the season started, and they said that if you are 2 down, virtually guarantees you lose the game.
He said, I wouldn't be surprised at the press conference today if we have 7 changes for next week. So obviously there's a couple of other guys that work through the pain barrier to stay out there that might not get up.
Just when I was getting excited about this season
I thought they'd win, mate.
Where's Yowie?
It was a groin. There was something else. His body, man. Shuey, I don't know. When do these players have to start thinking about calling it today?
Well, who are you going to put? You're a West Coast fan. You watch them closer than we do. Who are you going to put a line through? Because you got some veterans over there still on big money.
Well, Nick Nat and Shuey, the 2, right?
They can't get on the park.
I remember when Bucks kept doing his hammies. That was the start of the end. This is what Shuey's been doing. It just sucks because he was moving really well.
Mate, it happens. Like Xavier Ellis kept pinging ductors, hammies, calves, quaddies. Harley Bennell never got another run at it. Once he did his.
What was the one part of the body that kept going for you?
None.
Penis.
No, I never done a soft tissue injury.
Really?
No. So if I got injured, it was a broken bone, and they heal stronger than ever.
Yeah, they do.
So
and John?
No, I only did it one hammy. I was pretty good in that regard. Just had a few broken bones and a couple of head knocks and all that sort of stuff. But my right knee was my main one. Half a dozen injuries, half a dozen operations on my right knee. Dino, yes, and a broken. The most painful was penis. A broken. No, not a broken penis. Not like that former legend in the AFL. I was going to say former Hawthorn legend, but.
Oh, okay. Jonathan's referring to the mythical story of an ex-legend breaking their penis during a dalliance with a TV star.
Oh, the kid? I'm not going to say his name.
Yeah, of course not. No, the most painful for me was the broken sacrum. Yeah, beside your coccyx bone. Jeez, that hurt. Yeah, I was walking around like a dog that had been hit by a car for the next few weeks.
This isn't physiologically proven by any means.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But I had a theory.
Yes.
As to why I never did any soft tissue injuries at all, right? And a lot of it
Couldn't
had
run
to do
fast
with...
enough.
No, because I was lightning
You were
quick.
quick.
Right?
Self-pleasure.
My theory was I was terribly unflexible, and I never worked on my flexibility.
Yes.
So sit and reach, right? Overrated. You got guys that would lean and fucking get 20 centimetres past their toes, and they're great, right?
Yeah.
Kept doing soft tissue injuries. So because I was so bad in terms of my flexibility,
So did you ever touch your toes?
I can't touch my toes.
Really?
Nah, never been able to.
Interesting.
Therefore, my hammies and my muscles are short, right? But they're really, really, really thick. It's like a bit of rope, right? How can you cut through a rope, right? Or pull the rope?
Yeah.
You can't if it's thick. Whereas if you're really flexible, right, your muscles are long and thin, and the fibres, they start to just
Are you
fray
saying?
a little bit, right?
Are you saying don't stretch?
And it can break easier, right? Because it's
Sure.
long and thin instead of
Science.
short. And so that is my physiological take on my body, and as to why I never did any injuries. And look, I've said this to some
You dished out a
sports
few injuries,
psychologists.
although you broke your hip.
Yeah.
Next, for months, I've been promising we're going to chat to a shark attack survivor. This guy's name's Robbie Peck. You guys
Yes.
don't know anything
Isn't it
about
amazing?
this. He's next.
This is Brownie's Podcast.
Welcome back to Brownie's Podcast. Okay, for ages, I've been trying to get a guy that I've been calling Shark Guy on the podcast. He's in Port Hedland, up north in WA. And every week you guys are like, is Shark Guy on this week? And I'm like,
Yes.
no, well, Shark Guy lives in Perth. And that's Indonesian timeline, you know? Like, it's a different time zone.
3-hour time difference, but now it's only 2
2
with
hours.
daylight
Yes.
saving coming back.
So,
We thought that Robbie, Robbie liked a bit of a sleeping because every time we'd come in to report the podcast, which is about 11 or 12 o'clock Victorian time, Dino go, yeah, still too early for Robbie. Time this Robbie get out of bed.
So, finally, after many
I
years,
got young kids, mate. There's no time for that.
here he is. It's Shark Guy, Robbie Peck. How are you, man?
Yeah, good. Thanks, guys. And pleased to be here. Just having us on.
All right, so you two, imagine you're spearfishing, which I'd imagine is a calm exercise. Robbie, like, is it tranquil when you're underwater spearfishing?
Yeah, it has to be.
Yeah.
If you're sort of stressed or wound up in any way, your breath just turns to shit. So
You're 13 meters underwater in tranquil underwater paradise. And then all of a sudden, your heart rate goes from 0 to 100 because you're being munged on by a shark.
in fact, I was a little bit slightly elevated because I just shot a fish. So yeah, and I was pulling it in. So that's always the battle with spearfishing too, is containing your excitement and still trying to stay calm when you got a fish on the end of your spear. But yeah, in this case, I just shot one, and then I was pulling the fish in towards me, and then I turn around and there's just a mouthful of teeth about 1 or 2 meters away, coming in at me from behind at full charge.
From the moment you saw teeth until the bite, what was your reaction time?
Well, I've done the maths on this, right? I'm an engineer, so bull shark at full charge is about 40 k's an hour, roughly, 10 meters a second. I estimated it was about 1 to 2 meters away, so I had somewhere between 0.1 and 0.2 of a second to react. So basically, it was just enough time to go, bam, throw the hand out, and that was it.
Oh.
I was pretty compromised, which is a bit annoying because, like, normally sharks, if they get aggressive, they tend to give you a little bit of warning, and you can sort of, read their behaviour. Oh, this shark's getting a little bit feisty. Let's just get out and move on, boys. But unfortunately, in this case, it was a big shark from behind, so I didn't even have a chance to bloody see it coming. And he went for me. Didn't go for the fish.
The spear wouldn't have been the spear gun wouldn't have been accessible because you had a catch
No,
on the end of it.
exactly,
You
yeah.
wouldn't have to use you wouldn't be able to use the gun.
Yeah, spot on. Exactly. Basically, a little bit of a sitting duck at that point. So wasn't much I could do about it at that point in time, unfortunately.
Was the shark coming at you, Robbie, or coming at the catch that you just speared?
100% coming at me, but the reason he was so fired up is because of the catch. Undoubtedly, they can sense those vibrations from a really long distance away. This guy was clearly just going for the big meal. It was a big shark, later confirmed by DNA and bite analysis to be 3 meters. Bull shark. So,
3 metre bull
you're
shark.
talking,
Mate.
250 to 300 kilos of fish.
That's taller
smashing
than
me,
LeBron James, Jonathan.
Yes.
And
Everyone's got a theory, right? They're out surfing or they're out spearfishing or they're caught in shark-infested waters. And if a shark, any shark, comes at them, in their head they're like, now, you know what I'd do? I'd poke it in the eyes, or I'd punch it on the snout, right? I'd grab its gills and
kiss it.
Any of those thoughts go through your mind, or is all of those just bullshit?
No. Well, I don't actually remember putting my hand out to it, right? But that's what I've done, just tried to fend it off, but ended up, funnily enough, with my hand down the bloody thing's throat.
Wait, sorry, Robbie, sorry to interrupt, but are you saying you tried to dusty a shark?
Yeah, I left jab, but unfortunately I wasn't too successful with that. I was the one with bad eyesight that day. So
what happened to your hand when you lost your hand in the mouth?
So my upper arm was the part that copped the contact, and the only thing you can do at that point, I just screamed at it as loudly as I can, just gave it to it, and my dive buddy was on the surface. He heard the scream, and then shortly after saw one very agitated shark swimming around. But anyway, my left wrist did cop it on the way out of its mouth. It sort of was on my arms shaking like shit, screamed at it, which gave the shark a bit of a fright, I imagine, because they're not used to prey sort of screaming in their face. And then he let go, and as he sort of swam away, my left wrist came out of its mouth and cut the nerve and artery and a few other bits and pieces on the wrist on the way out. So,
oh man, are you thinking at this point my arm's gone, or are you thinking you're going to die at this point?
13 metres underwater when this happened, and I just ditched my spare gun and put my right arm and my upper left arm where the main impact was, and my hand just sunk in, man, down to the bone. It was like pretty serious injury, and I knew that I was in a very serious situation. So,
were you in pain at this stage, Robbie, or were you just in shock?
No, mate. That's the crazy thing is, like just I think when you get an injury that severe, you just go into shock mode straight away, and not necessarily shock, but just adrenaline. Like I was incredibly calm and clear thinking. And that's what really struck me the most. I was the calmest one on the boat. I had the brother-in-law on the boat and the dive buddy. Got their attention initially, but I was calling the shots as I'm lying down on the boat once I got in there. And
tourniquet on?
Ironically, I had 2 tourniquets on the boat, but in the chaos, the boys didn't find them. So,
jeez,
the tourniquets
sounds like they're useless. These 2 bucks on the boat.
They were panicking.
There were tourniquets on the boat because the other 2 were doing heroin.
Yeah. To be fair, extenuating circumstances, I'll give them a pass on that. But yeah, it was pretty hectic, and I think when I calmed down, then they sort of fed off that as well, and we actually worked brilliantly as a team. But it's far out. In the end, really nothing could have gone better, because if we had to use the tourniquet, it would have quite possibly ended up with me losing my limb, because when you jam a tourniquet on, you cut off all circulation and increase the risk of losing the limb.
Oh, so, I didn't know that.
No shit.
Yeah. We used a improvised tourniquet on my mate's weight belt, which is actually perfect. It gave just the right amount of pressure to stem the bleeding, but not completely cut off circulation.
So there's no situation like Black Hawk Down, when the fella got shot in the leg, which is obviously different to the arm, but let's say there's arteries there supplying that area. When he had to reach into the thigh and he lost the artery, the key artery, and then it just slipped back inside his body, then he fished around for it, couldn't find the artery, and then eventually he died.
Yeah, so if you get a major artery, I think the time I've heard is roughly 6 minutes or something you've got, or might even be less than that. But you haven't got long before you just bleed out. Oh. Had it been a major artery gone, I may have been in a bit more trouble. But yeah, and that's where a tourniquet is absolutely critical. But as luck would have it, many things fell my way that day. I'm bloody grateful for that.
Robbie, we've all seen the famous vision of Mick Fanning over in South Africa. I think it was Cape Town, when he was surfing and that great white shark sort of came at him and knocked him off his board, and he got away unscathed. Is that just pure fucking luck from Mick?
Like the fact that Mick fought back as well, that also helps too, man. Like, again, sharks aren't stupid. A big shark especially, they're quite a risk-averse animal. They won't go in for the kill if there's a chance they're going to get injured. And so fighting back is incredibly important, and Mick did that. So I imagine that, him giving that shark a bit of a punch probably saved his life, or saved him from an injury at least.
In that split second, Robbie, did you have any regrets about your life? Flashed before your eyes?
Hey, that's a good question.
No, I didn't. But I tell you what, that primal desire to survive was incredibly strong. Hey, like that was a really amazing insight. And not only that, just all of life's bullshit just fell away, and it just became about surviving for my family and those that I love. And that was like nothing else mattered at that point in time. Probably to add to a little bit more complexity of the situation as well, I actually had my 4-year-old son asleep on the boat. Too. So
Jesus.
So yeah, so that added to the heaviness, and I was like, I had to obviously stay calm for him, and I was like, man, I do not want to die here in front of my son.
Robbie, please tell me that fish that you speared, that you got back into the boat, you filled it up and you ate it because it nearly cost you an arm and a leg.
Come on, Robbie, you have no idea how long Dog was waiting to crowbar that in. Jesus, that's dad joke of the year.
Mate.
You've done it in round 3. You son of a bitch.
We had to hold him back.
Robbie, well, thanks, mate. We're glad you're alive, and you're pro shark like most of us are. We don't want to go out start culling sharks.
He wouldn't have been if it had killed him.
Yeah, well, ask him.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, like, it's kind of like, I am pro sharks. They hold a very important place in the ecosystem, but I do feel that there's a growing movement of people who put sharks up on a pedestal a little bit too much. There's a few social media celebrities who go around, jumping in with sharks and pretending that these big puppy dogs, which in 99% of the cases may be true, but I'll tell you what, when they flip their switch, they are freaking psycho. And I think people need to remember that as well. That's an important part of it. There's a bit of too much romanticism of sharks, in my opinion.
Have you found yourself watching Jaws over and over and fast forwarding to the part where they put dynamite in that big bastard and
Have not, but I have received plenty of shark paraphernalia. I have a Jaws cup sitting on my desk at work. Yeah.
Robbie Peck, Shark Attack Survivor, thank you so much for joining us.
We appreciate it.
And it feels like the great Mike Tyson quote is relevant to when a shark attack happens. Everyone's got a plan until you get punched in the face.
Indeed.
Thank you.
No, cheers, guys.
Well,
Thanks so much.
Dino,
Thought that would have hit better.
elicited a better reaction.
Thanks, mate. By the way, Bert Goes Bang is Robbie's Instagram. Check out all his shark gear. It's insane. Dog.
So every time I'm in the water and I see some fish jump or something unusual, I break into dolphin noises.
Oh, that's nice.
Because sharks are scared of dolphins because they poke them with their nose.
That's not true.
It is true.
That's bullshit.
So you should perfect the art of the dolphin noise, and that could potentially save you.
That was wild, right?
Oh, mate.
Amazing. How good.
He's a good dude.
They terrify me, sharks.
Jesus.
It's given me an idea
Yes.
about the movie
Yes.
speech. We've got to do that. We've got to do them this Friday. I think we need to do. I'm going to go.
Just to recap, everyone here is going to perform a speech from a movie in very inspirational fashion.
Absolutely. I'm going to go with Quint from Jaws.
Big.
Remember Robert Shaw?
Of course.
That was a great scene. So, Dog, what's yours going to be?
I am with Frank Slade in Scent of a Woman, Al Pacino, baby.
He won an Oscar for that.
It was unbelievable.
I will be doing, I don't know yet, but it's going to be better than both of yours.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, I look forward to that, Dino.
Hey, next, What a World, and my observations from the round.
This is Brownie's Podcast.
Welcome back to Brownie's Podcast. What a World is just around the corner, but my name is Dean Thomas, and these are my observations from the round. I tell you who can get guys.
Who?
The football gods. All of them. I'm taunting them right now. Because sometimes when you're watching your team play your arch enemy, 3 players go down one after the other. And then do you know what happens after that? One of the other players from the other team does a backflip to celebrate a really good goal.
That was amazing. See Frederick do the backflip with a little sort of twist in there.
I
It
loved
was amazing.
It was amazing. He landed on his feet.
Hell.
We tried to do that.
Mate.
We'd end up in hospital.
Jonathan,
with neck surgery.
It was like having an open shark wound, and then Fredericks come up to me and just crunch salt into it.
Ooh.
Fresh salt into my
I
goddamn
felt
wound.
sorry for West Coast supporters.
Another reason the footy gods can kiss my fat ass is because Maltese never come off. Here's what happens. You get green ticks. All green ticks, and then always that red X. Every single time. Time for
What a world.
What do you got?
Well, strange things just continue to happen day in, day out. Now, An eBay user
Yes.
has somehow managed to get hold of Robert Downey Jr.'s used chewing gum. The Marvel star was chewing some gum when he went to the Jon Favreau Hollywood Walk of Fame ceremony last month. Got the chewy, chucked it on the ground. Eagle Eye punter found it, picked it up, logged it onto eBay.
How much?
Right, the listings.
What would you pay, John?
And they've started bidding on it.
$23.
$40,147.47, and that is US, my friends.
Which converts
is
to
the price right now for Robert Downey Jr.'s chewing gum.
Yeah.
Why the would you want to buy that? Where would you put it?
I tell you why. To get
It'd
his
be
DNA
hard.
and then clone him.
What sort of chewing gum was it?
I reckon it was a spearmint extra.
Spearmint Extra.
What a world! Like,
It's not worth 40,000 though.
let's just walk down the street and find someone's old joint or something, Dino, and auction it off.
Follow me, brother. Hey, movie speeches on Friday. We've got a big one. Enjoy your week. We'll see you then.
Cheers.